Hello, welcome to this week's Sportscast podcast episode. This week we'll be kicking off with a Tour de France update, as well as looking at a roundup of the Formula One from Hungary, the results and discussion around the British Open golf tournament, as well as some boxing news and football updates.
Another week down. How you doing?
Good, thank you. Are you?
Very well. Been a very, very busy week of sport. A lot has gone on. A lot of sort of big news and a lot of things that have happened that are different things within football, in America, over here.
Yeah.
Tour de France finished only 40 minutes or so ago, which saw Denmark's Jonas Vingegaard take back-to-back titles, which we said early on it was going to be him or Pogacar, and it was stage 16 where he opened up a little bit more of a lead, and then on stage 17 he was they were in the mountains and there was 15 kilometres to go, and Pogacar just came on the radio and just went, "I'm gone, I'm dead," and just figuratively,
yeah.
fell off the
Figuratively falling at the final hurdle in a way.
21 stages, went at 17, and he opened up a 7.5 minute lead.
Yeah.
So today, where they go down the Champs-Élysées, they do, it's 115 kilometres, they just ride in all together, a bit of champagne, and what they do is about sort of 3 to 5 kilometres before the end, they let the sprinters go off, because the sprinters aren't generally up there in the general classification, so they let them go off, get the points, and then they just ride in 30 seconds behind.
Yeah.
And just celebrate. So it's a bit of an easier day for him today, but there were wins this week for Gal, Asgreen, Mohoric. Pogacar took yesterday's stage as a bit of a, I've got to do something if I'm not winning it tomorrow kind of thing. And the twins, Adam Yates and Simon Yates, came third and fourth, which is quite, I think quite big. You had, in the sort of top 13, you had 3 Ineos riders with Yates, Rodriguez and Pidcock, so a few British guys are up there, considering we've not sort of got the usuals in Geraint Thomas and things that got third last year. Wasn't it this year, but the Yates brothers stepped up, and it's been a very good tour on the basis of you've had the front two absolutely battling it towards the end. It's not been,
not like a one horse race, yeah.
Yeah, there's been a bit. Yeah, it's been close between them.
You'd like to see it's like a 4 or 5 way fight for the win, but I mean,
in the final week, one of them takes it, kind of thing. Vingegaard is going to potentially surpass Lance Armstrong's titles, early 20s. I mean, I know he doesn't officially hold them. In my eyes, he does. Everyone was doping, so you're only doping, whilst everyone else was. But he is going to be around for a very, very long time, and at that, winning tours as big as that constantly. Today was the Hungarian Grand Prix.
Very jealous, considering I was sat in my jumper and coat and in the absolute pissing rain, watching an absolutely glorious Hungarian Grand Prix.
53 degrees track temperature at the start of the race.
I know, really.
That is incredible.
Yeah. And Pirelli took the harder end of the range as well. So the tyres naturally do overheat. So it probably was a little bit of a challenge for the drivers throughout the race, qualifying and the race. They were seeing issues with marbling, difficult to slow the cars down as they would like. But what do you think to the new qualifying format? So Q1 was hards only, Q2 was mediums only, and Q3 was softs only.
I didn't know about this.
Okay.
And even yesterday when I did watch qualifying, I didn't pick up on that. So I didn't pick up on that's what they were doing.
Yeah. So,
how-
did you notice a difference from generally?
I think that's probably why Lewis got where he got,
Yeah.
because I think he handles his tyres better. And if the hotter track and the harder tyres, well, hotter track you have more grain and things on the tyres, and if
Yeah.
they're on the softs, I think he's going to handle that better. But how does that work then? Usually, because the time you set in Q2 is your starting tyre for the race. Do they then get free pick of the race?
I think on this occasion they did get free pick in the race because there was a really good mix of soft, medium, and hard. Perez and Russell, I think, started on the hard tyre, obviously going for a really long stint with a really poor qualifying performance. Most of the field on mediums, and I think there was one Ferrari, I can't remember which it was
on soft.
On softs, yeah. I don't want to linger too much on qualifying because it was, although it was an very exciting qualifying with Lewis Hamilton taking pole, Max on the front row with him. I just think that we should allow the teams to make the strategy calls, and in my opinion, rather than dictate exactly, it becomes I think it becomes very stale, and it doesn't lend favour to the cars such as McLaren, who are not very good on mediums, and Haas, who are not very good on softs, but they are both tremendous on hard tyres. So, moving on to the race. Did you watch the race? You enjoyed the race?
Yeah. Enjoyed, yes. It's not one that's going to stand out for me this season, considering a lot of the races this year have been very similar formats of a Red Bull taking off into the distance.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed the people battling
For the rest.
at them parts of where they are. So
Yeah.
I enjoy seeing Lando and Lewis battling.
Yeah.
Silverstone a couple of years ago when Lewis came on the radio and he sort of commended Lando. And,
Yeah.
You know, I like seeing him battle. You know, because I think Lando's the natural replacement for Lewis in that Mercedes. So I enjoy seeing that. I enjoy seeing the Ferraris with Russell a little bit further down the grid, and then you've got, you know, the Honey Badger himself sort of around the Aston Martins and things. And
Yeah.
I enjoy seeing the people where they deserve to be battling.
Yeah. I'm a McLaren fan, as you know. I'm really, really pleased that McLaren have taken a huge, monumental step forward, because the where they were at the beginning of the season was battling for 18th or nowhere near the point.
Yeah.
But I'm really, really pleased to see that the McLaren has got pace on merit, not just necessarily because they had a good pit stop or an undercut or they had a blinding qualifying because it was luck. They've actually got really good race pace on merit. Lando held off Perez. And unfortunately, even though Piastri did get demoted down to fourth, he by Perez, it was overtaken by the fastest car probably we've ever seen on a Red Bull on a Formula One track
With double DRS zone and
yeah. What do you think about that? So one detection point,
for
two
zones.
DRS zones.
I'm not a fan of that at all. I
No.
think because it doesn't encourage, or again, it's a little bit like the sprint qualifyings and things with the sprint races and things. It's beneficial to the more powerful cars. That it's as if the better you are, the more we're going to give you. So
Yeah.
you know, you've got to get in once to get the double. I think that it's not a very big second zone going down into off turn 2. So
No, but if you get the overtake done into turn 1,
you
then
could almost be out of DRS, come back round the lap.
Exactly. Really disappointing day for Zhou Guanyu after a really promising qualifying. Put him in 5th for race start, lost 11 places, and got a 5-second time penalty for causing the collision, which blew my mind. I can't. Lack of experience in the higher positions with the big boys.
No, I think he just didn't. I just think he just didn't get his tyres warm.
No, he had a terrible start, didn't he?
And I know a kind of the argument around first race incidents and things don't tend to get picked up on, but he did wipe a couple of cars out.
Well, double DNF for
Alpine again.
Alpine, yeah, again. Looking at better, well, depends who you're a fan of actually, but looking at more favourable results. Red Bull, obviously another podium, well, another win for Max, another double podium for Red Bull. It's their 12th, it's record-breaking 12th victory in a row for Red Bull, and Sergio Perez with a cracking driver of the day from 9th on the grid all the way up to 3rd.
Fully deserved it as well.
Yeah,
I think the
tremendous race.
I think if you weren't going to, I didn't see who the the three for the option, the top three for the options were, but I think you could have argued a case for, although Oscar did drop points, I think on the face of it, the McLaren probably haven't got race pace cars, so he's
not compared with,
and he's and he has done very, very well, but I think he deserves some recognition for what he's been able to do. I think he's proving that he can fight it out up there, and he's going to be a top driver.
Yeah, and you've got Nick De Vries, who's obviously, we discussed last week, he's obviously unfortunately lost his seat, whereas Logan's not doing fantastic. He's probably doing the best out of the rookies, and to be fair, some of the guys that joined in the last couple of years, he's doing a really good job. Arguably, the McLaren is now a really viable race car, but he's had good qualifying and good race results given the circumstances of where they've been.
Yeah. Did you see? So last race out, I've seen this evening. Last race out, Lando on the podium hits his bottle off the podium and sprays everywhere.
Yeah, I've seen this.
Have you seen today's?
I've seen this. Wait, hold on, before we go any further. Weird trophies.
Porcelain. Allegedly 8 months to make.
Oh my God.
And they're worth 6 figures. And he has smashed it off the podium, caused it to fall on the floor, and smashed it.
I guarantee it'll be worth a whole lot more now. They could auction it off for charity and
and get an awful lot of money for that.
Let's say it's Lando's signature celebration though, isn't it?
Yeah.
He did it last week. And he's obviously done it again today, but smashed Max's trophy. Jos Verstappen will be waiting at his hotel room tonight when he gets back to his hotel room.
With you sitting around in your jumper, there was a few thousand sitting around in Liverpool for the Open in their raincoats for the horrific 4th day of the golf. Have you caught much of it?
I've caught a bit. I caught the highlights. Yeah, it has. I watched a little bit on Friday. I caught the highlights on Saturday, and I've been watching a little bits and bobs today. But generally keeping up to speed.
So as a quick overview, Brian Harman had the lead into the weekend after the cut. He led by 5 shots. Tommy Fleetwood was up there as well. He was sat in second after a very good Scottish Open last week, just a double bogey at the end, and he dropped a couple of places. There were some big names missing out on the weekend with Keegan Bradley, Colin Morikawa, Tony Finau and Justin Rose all missed the cut. Today, considering the weather, I think the players, they didn't play conservatively, but no one, couple sort of shot a few under, but no one went crazy, and no one really sort of fell off the edge of, sort of the face of a cliff. You had, Brian Harman going in today was at 12 under. He's finished at 13 under, winning by 6, with John Rahm at 7 under and Rory at 6 under. Rory had a good day today.
Yeah,
he picked up a few shots. Mm-hmm. But considering the weather, considering sort of the conditions they were facing on Thursday as well. Thursday was very, very windy. It's been a good Open. I think I didn't know too much about Brian Harman before today, but apparently he's always sort of always been sort of top 20-ish and a very good player. So I think we'll see him again around majors. I don't think he'll do a Danny Willett, win one and disappear kind of thing.
Consistency from the likes of John Rahm and Victor Hovland.
Yeah, Victor Hovland's come on fantastically and done very well this year, especially at the majors. So
he'll play better in the rain.
Yeah. Speaking of rain as well, again, the Ashes. this has probably been one of the most exciting tests of the series, and yet we've seen nothing for 2 days. Give or take a couple of hours worth of cricket yesterday afternoon.
And it's a shame as well, because arguably you don't want to be 2-0 down and then chasing 2-1 just to make it sort of viable to win the Ashes. But it's such a shame that we couldn't see the outcome, the finish. Whether England are going to battle back and it's going to be
They bowled Australia out for 317. Probably about 30 too many after. They had a bit of a bad, they couldn't get the tail enders out. They hit 592 in return. Zach Crawley hit 189. And off the top of my head, I think it was off 181 or 182 balls.
Yeah, which is outstanding.
It's incredible. A little bit like I was saying sort of last week. They're bringing this 100 attitude towards the Test cricket, and they just
which cost them
the first Test, but it's fantastic. Then Australia were 214 for 5 at close of play yesterday after a pretty rain affected day. They maybe lost about 5 hours of cricket. Frustrating yesterday because they only took 1 wicket yesterday afternoon. I can't remember exactly what Australia were going into the day on, but they put up about sort of 60, 70 runs, only lost 1 wicket. Kind of Australia maybe knew the weather was coming, so didn't really do anything yesterday. Kind of just maybe sort of batted it out and didn't really want anything to happen.
Which is my argument to why Test cricket, I know you like Test cricket, I know you love Test cricket, but play it in a hot country.
Yeah.
So we can't have this kind of...
I think you don't expect it as much in. I think, so the arguments were now that did England bat too long on day 3?
Yeah.
But no one, yes, we knew the weather was going to come in. Did we know, like today, there was no play at all today? So, we kind of just thought, did we bat out too long? You don't know that that's the case. The argument was Stokes declared too early in the first Test and we lost that one. So it's kind of, you don't know until the end. Unfortunately, during this Test, if England do win at the Oval, the Test starts on Thursday, it's a tied series. Australia retain. England cannot win the Ashes, unfortunately. And then obviously they'll go to Australia next Christmas, try and, it's not easy. It's not easy. And Australia are a good team at the minute, so to go to Australia and take that would be very, very difficult. Boxing, there's a few big fights coming up now. A few more fights have got dates. So I'll just sort of go through what's going to happen. Errol Spence versus Crawford next week. It is in America. I probably will try and wake up early hours of the morning to catch that. That is, in footballing terms, that is Real Madrid, Barcelona Champions League final-esque. That is 2 fighters, probably pound for pound, greatest in the world at the minute, in my eyes, going for, and you don't see this very often. They're both in the prime. They're both, world champions with their divisions. So I think it's going to be fantastic. Chris Eubank Jr. and Liam Smith have got a date of the 2nd of September for their rematch. Again, really looking forward to that. I hope Smith can back up what happened first time. You've got Artur Beterbiev, who's fighting Callum Smith, Liam's brother, at the end of August. So Callum Smith, Liam Smith, they're part of the family, obviously, all Smiths, and their older brother was also a world champion boxer. You've got, and the dad's been the coach, you've got a family of just absolute incredible boxers, and 4 people, the working class family in Liverpool, and they're absolute, and they're brilliant people. They're fantastic. I love watching them fight. Usyk Dubois, August 26th. Joshua Dillian White, August 12th. I'm looking forward to that. Again, probably don't watch too much they fought very early on in Joshua's career. Probably the fight of that year. It was phenomenal. Joshua should have put him out quick enough, didn't. White fought back, rocked him a lot. And at this time round, Dillian White's a much more matured fighter. There was a lot of beef because the rumour is that as amateurs, Dillian White beat Anthony Joshua, was the only person to beat him. So there was a lot of fire on that first one. And this time round, and Joshua's kind of said, Dillian White's not a rival anymore. I'm above that. But he's fighting him, and I think we could see an upset there. Well, I say an upset. I think we see Dillian White winning. It's not an upset for me. And then you got Canelo Charlo at the 30th of September. Canelo is probably, arguably, modern era greatest boxer with Floyd Mayweather. Him and Triple G have had a good trilogy. This is coming away from that now. That'll be another great fight. For undisputed titles, Charlo's unbeaten as well. So there's a lot going on. There's also another fight, but I didn't know whether to include this or not. Jake Paul, but he's fighting Nate Diaz, and Nate Diaz is obviously UFC.
Yes. Fought
McGregor a lot. They've had a bit of beef. So although it's this TikTok boxing, if you like, Jake Paul is not a bad boxer.
No.
He's not going to win a world title. And if he does, it'll be in a weight division that there's not really much competition as to what he wins. He's not a bad boxer. And Nate Diaz is a great striker. So I think that's actually going to be a really good fight. I hope it's not an exhibition type, go to points, and it's going to be a draw on 3 cards. I hope it is a proper fight. And they do seem to hate each other.
Which always helps.
So I do think this is going to be a proper fight.
Has the transition previously worked for UFC fighters into boxing? Most famously, Conor McGregor versus Junior.
I think that was all
monetized.
Yeah, I don't think there was. I genuinely believe there were clauses not to knock Floyd out.
Yeah,
genuinely believe that. Not that he probably could have done. The difference is, I've not been Floyd's biggest fan. I think he's fought some good boxers at the wrong time. He fought Canelo very early, hit him with a cheap shot. As referees were talking to him, he hit him, beat him. Very, very cheap, very, very dirty. Should never have had an outcome of that fight. Fought Manny Pacquiao, but again, they were both 36.
Yeah,
it happened 10 years too late. A prime Canelo, I think, would have beaten a prime Floyd, but it never happened, so it doesn't matter. But Floyd is arguably the hardest boxer to hit, so I don't think McGregor could have hit him anyway. So I don't think that's the case. But I think so Tyson Fury's got a fight as well, and I forget this guy's name, but he's a French UFC fighter, and I've watched him a couple of times in the octagon, and he had another fight, and I can't remember the guy, but I can picture him, and it was 3 rounds of just pure scrapping, standing up, slogging, almost like a boxing match. So that's not going to be as straightforward for Tyson. He's a big guy that he's fighting, very big guy that he's fighting. So it is going to be more difficult than probably you think. But these UFC fighters are trained in many different disciplines.
Yeah.
So to just go in and use your fists. But Nate Diaz, I think, will take it to Jake Paul, and I hope he does. A lot's happened in the world of football.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen much?
I've seen. It depends what we want to talk about. I've seen a few bits. I've seen the Women's World Cup. Seen the Messi stuff.
It was always
transfer rumours, silly transfer rumours to Saudi Arabia, etc.
Oh, there's still many.
Yeah.
I saw one today. So Fabinho from Liverpool's meant to be going, and he's probably, he still can do a job in the Premier League and everything else. But then I've seen this evening that it might fall through because his pet dog's breed is illegal in Saudi Arabia.
Okay.
But it's only like a French bulldog or something.
Yeah.
Like that. It's nothing. It's not got
vicious.
Yeah, but it's illegal in that country. So he not he might refuse to go because he can't keep his stock.
Yeah.
Of all the things.
Odd. No, I've seen that Saudi Arabia are trying to build up their lower leagues as well, not just
Yes.
obviously their Premier League, if you like, whatever their main highest league is not nowhere near even a German B League, but they're inviting or I don't know, they're asking for like application, like, do you know what I mean? I don't know how they're doing it, but they're trying to build up their B and C leagues, but they're offering again ridiculous amounts of money to people that are paid £10 a week. £10 a week is an awful amount.
No,
and
it's
they're offering 50 odd.
No, I read it slightly differently. They're offering sort of £3,000 and £4,000 a week, plus house, plus car,
Oh, like a full package.
to players that maybe play here in the Conference North and Conference South on £400 or £500 a week.
Okay.
So they're going after that type to build these leagues up, to get them better, to then have more come through. So I saw slightly lower numbers, but I believe it's to bring more of the sort of the lower league players over to build more of an infrastructure and more competitiveness around that, and then build it up like that, rather than just put a league out there.
Yeah. At the same time, though, they must have a fan base, or they must assume that they're going to be able to fill the stadiums and generate that raw fandom. You know, like in the UK, in the EPL, where we've got
So I think
people
this is
who live and die for their club.
This is going to be the problem, though. So sort of 10 years ago, China started doing this, and they were paying
Ridiculous money.
Yeah, I mean,
Did Carlos Tevez go?
I think Tevez did. I think Hulk that went. Oscar that played for Chelsea at the time, he's still there, I believe. And they still never really got fans into the stadium.
No.
They had these big stadiums, and there was just nothing.
I think money can buy anything in the world, but it can't buy. Well, I don't even know what the word is. You can't force people to like football.
You can't. There's an argument. So Saudi Arabians now own Newcastle. Just because they've got the money around Newcastle. Newcastle have always had a very, very strong fan base, one of the best in the Premier League. You're not going to get that out there just because you've got money.
Yeah.
Just because you've got Jordan Henderson or...
Well, look at the World Cup that's just gone. The farce of there are quite clearly not Brazilian fans or quite clearly not French fans in French shirts parading through the street.
30,000 of them through the street.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
just not... Yeah, it just doesn't happen like that. Harry Kane is still at Spurs. There was a press conference this week. I believe they're in Bangkok. They're meant to play Leicester today, and it got called off because of the weather. And to be fair, it looked like they were knee deep in water on the pitch. A German journalist turned up, and he had a Bayern Munich top Harry Kane on the back, and the manager, Angie, he looked like if he could have reached him, he would have it would have hurt the guy. That was quite entertaining. It's interesting to see. I do think the league's 3 weeks away. I do think we'll see Harry Kane in a Spurs shirt on the opening game of the season.
Yeah.
Man United got Onana from Inter Milan, 47 million. Goalkeeper. Obviously De Gea has been let go. He's not renewed his contract, got done a little bit dirty. I think he'll end up in Saudi Arabia. So they've got the good replacement in there. Matt Doherty's gone back to Wolves from Atletico Madrid, and I'll be honest, I didn't even know he went to Atletico Madrid from Spurs. So that's quite a big move for Wolves. They've not been fantastic the last sort of 2 seasons in the Premier League. And then Chelsea and Al Hilal are favourites for Mbappe from PSG. But then I've also seen...
Wow, I did not know that.
I've also seen that Spurs are also looking at Mbappe. And that leads me to believe that if Spurs think they can get Mbappe, I don't know why, as a Blackburn fan, we're not thinking about it, because I think we've got as much chance of getting Mbappe. I just can't see him leaving PSG to go to White Hart Lane.
No.
And come sixth. I don't get it. Messi, You saw that.
Yeah, debut.
It was a cup game against a Mexican team.
Yeah.
So they're still doing very, very badly in the league. But 1-0 down.
Yeah.
He comes on. They score. 94th minute. Have you seen the free kick?
I've seen the free kick.
Lovely goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 94th minute. It was
Written
set
in the
up for
stars.
him.
Yeah,
He had Busquets, former Barcelona midfielder, supporting him. It's always good to see.
So I saw a tweet this weekend that I thought I'd share with you because I found it quite interesting, that Lionel Messi making his MLS debut 16 years to the day when David Beckham made his MLS debut. And the other thing is Inter Miami ticket prices pre-Messi were around $25. And the cup game that we've just been discussing, the average price of resale was $440. So there's quite clearly an appetite to see.
It
to see
was,
Messi in MLS.
and it was as well in the boxes. It was a game of who's who.
Yeah, LeBron
celebrity-wise.
James, Kim Kardashian,
Williams
both there.
sisters. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Vanity, really.
Yeah.
Over soccer.
so I read yesterday where the origin of the term soccer came from.
Okay.
So it's association football, and it got shortened to association, and rugby gets nicknamed all the time into ruggers, and they used to call it a sock. So association, so the first ASOC, and then they just went with it, and because it was ruggers, they went for a game of a soccer, and it just became soccer. And that's where it's all stemmed from.
Interesting. Did not know that.
But yeah, we still call it football.
Yeah, which is the correct term.
There's also the Women's World Cup. Have you caught any of that?
I'll be honest, I've not caught any of it. I'm keeping up to date as much as Googling the results. No major upsets at the moment. I mean, the favourites, the United States, 3-0 up against Vietnam. But what surprised me is England, who obviously won the Euros, the Women's Euros, a couple of years ago, only 1-0 up against Haiti, making their debut appearance.
Quite a few of the Haiti team play in the French league.
Oh,
the
okay, yeah,
women's,
of course.
And so they did say that they were going to prove a different type of challenge for them, in the sense of they were going to be very difficult to break down.
Yeah.
Very difficult to, and they kind of did that. But yeah, I still think England will be there or thereabouts come the end of the tournament. Like you say, USA, no surprises, 3-0. There's been an awful lot of penalties so far this year as well. From sort of previous, there's nearly been a penalty a game.
Yeah.
I mean, the England women's league, that's how they got their goal. But
yeah, and
on a retake as
looking at as well, there's been at least one red card per day as well. I mean, there's only 3 games, two or 3 games per day. So we've only played a maximum of 6, 7, 8 games, and there's been 3 red cards. So are the officials being particularly harsh on certain?
One thing they are doing, and they do this in Australian football, Australian soccer.
Yeah.
The referees are mic'd up, and when they go to VAR, you hear them say it's a penalty.
Yeah.
Because of handball. But in the Australian football, it's throughout the game. So when something happens, the referee will be like, play on, you can hear him play on and things like that. And then if he gives a free kick and he'll say, no, I've done that because of this, and give him a card because you've done that there and that there. And I think it's brilliant. You'd never get it over here because of the things you'd pick up on the mic as well.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see it over here. Thanks for joining us this week on the Sportscast podcast. Again, you can get us on our socials, on Instagram and Twitter, at SportscastPodUK. Over the next couple of weeks, we will have some pre-event specials building up to the start of the EFL and the Premier League. So keep an eye on our socials, ready for those coming out. I've been Liam.
I've been Jordan.
Thank you very much.